Hello and welcome to our Infant 2 virtual tour. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Ms. Cochran. I've been the director here at the Primrose School of Clear Lake since 2018. I'm really excited to show you our Infant 2 classroom and tell you about what makes it so special. I don't have an interactive tour to show you of the Infant 2 classroom, so I'm going to show you an interactive tour of the Infant 1 classroom, and I will point out all of the differences as we go along. Our Infant 2 classroom is set up very similarly to the Infant 1 classroom you see here. The major differences are going to be some of the materials that are in the classroom. Because Infant 2 really is designed for more mobile infants, the room is set up to support that. In the Infant 2 classroom, for example, you wouldn't see a bouncer, you won't see a walker. Instead, you'll see gross motor play equipment so the children can practice climbing and sliding. You'll see shelves mounted on the wall so the children are able to walk over and help themselves to toys. That stays the same, however. You'll still have the changing table. You'll still have these cubbies on hand to grab for themselves. There's still a fridge to store the infants' bottles and food from home. Of course, there are still cribs, and of course, there are still high chairs. In the Infant 2 classroom, however, we do introduce a couple new pieces of furniture. We do introduce cots, which are short little cots just about an inch off the ground. Once the children start walking, we do introduce them to those. And once children start walking, we do additionally transition them to sitting at a table instead of in a high chair. When children join the Infant 2 classroom, we do start by meeting them where they are and matching their care and feeding to what you do at home. So as they join us, we will feed them every 3 hours if you feed them every 3 hours. We will pat them to sleep as if you pat them to sleep. However, as they go along, our goal is to transition them to being successful in the toddler classroom, which means we will gradually transition them to a school schedule and a school menu. As children start to eat more and more solids, we'll work with you to introduce foods that you are comfortable with your infant trying. The way that we will typically do that is we will send home a copy of the month's menu, and we will ask you to highlight any foods you would like us to introduce to your child at school. We'll never introduce anything before you're ready. One step at a time, we will add more and more food until your infant is eating entirely off the school menu and is ready to transition to the toddler classroom. Of course, what Primrose does best is its curriculum, and even in this Infant 2 classroom, we do have a very engaging curriculum for the children. Children's attitudes about learning are formed right now in infancy. And even though they may not be able to talk or manipulate everything in their environment the way that older children can, their brains are still active and they are absorbing everything they see and experience. So it's important to keep them stimulated with age-appropriate activities. The way that we approach learning in the Infant 2 classroom is to give children something to explore and interact with. As the children learn, the teacher comes in and guides the way that the children are interacting with the materials and adds words to help them deepen their understanding of what they are experiencing. In this activity, for example, we were learning about emotions. So we encouraged the children to look at the photos of the different emotions and facial expressions of the children in those photos and pointed out to the child what they saw in the mirror. We encouraged them to try to make their own happy faces and sad faces, and we talked about what the child saw in the mirror to help them recognize their own face parts. We pointed out our noses and our ears and our mouths to help that child achieve those key milestones. Art and creative expression lessons are embedded in all of our classrooms, even in the infant rooms. Even though they may not be able to have a ton of control over what they're doing, They experience that sensory sensation, and it really does help them understand a lot about their environment and a lot about the world. Children this age are sensory motor learners, which means they learn entirely through their senses. So giving them lots of different things to touch, feel, and interact with is what's going to help them learn best. Because our infant 2 children are more mobile, as long as the weather's nice, we're able to go outside with them. While the children are outside, they have lots of opportunities to practice the gross motor skills the children this age are working on. They're practicing crawling. They're getting opportunities to run around and stretch those legs. We continue to support sign language in the Infant 2 classroom as well. The attitudes that children will form about teachers, caregivers, and authority figures are formed right now in infancy, so it's really important to make sure that the infants have a secure bond with their caregivers. The best way that we can ensure that happens is by giving the children an avenue to express themselves. If they are able to sign to communicate their needs to their teachers, even if they can't talk yet, they know their needs will be met promptly, which allows them to trust their caregiver even more. One of the things that's embedded in all of our classrooms is OG story time. Reading aloud to children every day is one of the best things that we can do to help their language and literacy development. The more words children hear, the more quickly they are able to speak, the bigger their vocabulary gets, and the deeper their understanding about the world around them. So we read to our children every single day. The thing that sticks out the most about the Infant 2 classroom is the way that it is so transitional. Children come into this classroom on that one-to-one schedule and transition to that school schedule so they can be successful in the toddler room. Some of the things that we try to transition children to before they transition to that toddler classroom are drinking from a sippy cup, sitting up at the big boy, big girl table, being able to sleep on a cot, able to keep their shoes on, and able to eat from the school menu. Hitting all of those milestones will make them much more successful with their transition to a whole group setting in toddler. I also want to talk to you about our parent communication app, ProCare. ProCare is really neat because it is all in one. It allows you to see information about your child's day, it allows you to see billing information, and it even allows for two-way communication between you and your child's teacher. As a parent, when I open my ProCare app, what I see are the activities that my child has done most recently. Here, it looks like my kitty had a nap and had a photo taken. And then I can see that the teacher sent a note and that she did an activity with sensory play. I can also see that she had a bottle and drank 5 ounces earlier this morning as well. Something really cool about ProCare is that it is live, and parents do get real-time updates. So when you get an update, you get a push notification. You can see the ProCare icon up here in the corner. And when you look at that icon, it will tell you what happened. So I see that Zena took a nap. There is also two-way communication between you and the classroom teacher. If you have any questions or if the teacher needs to communicate something with you, you can send a message and the teachers are able to respond. On my dashboard, if I owe money, I get an alert up here at the top that tells me what my balance is. From there, I can go to my transaction page. Wow. When I receive an invoice, I get an alert at the top of my dashboard up here. It shows what I owe. From there, I can go to my transactions page and take a look at what I'm being charged for, make a payment. Thank you so much for joining me as I told you a little about our Infant 2 classroom. Of course, if you are interested in learning more about our program, I encourage you to reach out. We would be so happy to speak with you to answer your questions, or schedule a time you can come in and see the classroom for yourself in more depth. Of course, remember space is limited and is filling up soon. If you are interested, please call soon because we would love to have your little one join us. Thank you so much and have a fantastic rest of your day.